Today I'm headed into the city to document an event that will hopefully change the course of history forever. So I just recently got back from the strike, and I just have to say first off that it was an incredible experience, and it was amazing to be around all kinds of other people who were all fighting for the exact same thing that you were. And it was also really cool to be around a bunch of people my age. But it was really interesting and very cool to be a part of something so big and something that was a worldwide movement. So from the get-go, I knew that I not only wanted to go to participate because I am a big supporter of the climate. In fact, I've made films on this in the past, but naturally also as a photographer and a filmmaker, I wanted to go to document and tell a story of what was going on. So at the very end, I actually decided to purely focus on taking photos because if I had been trying to make videos and take photos, I would have somehow just ended up missing moments that when you're either doing one or the other, you can capture everything. When you're doing two, naturally, it makes sense. You can't get everything. So I ended up taking photos, and today I'm going to share the photos I got with you that I think do a really good job of telling the story of this event. The camera I ended up using was actually not the SL2, which I'm filming with right now, but the T3i, and the reason for that is simply because if anything were to happen, like the camera were to get stolen or broken or something like that, I would want it to be the T3i with the 18 to 55 kit lens rather than my relatively new Canon SL2. So because of this choice, because I decided to use the Canon T3i, I therefore went ahead and made the decision to only shoot photos for the day. This is because the T3i does not do continuous autofocus for video. That was a big downside. I mean, I'd be there half pressing the shutter, trying to focus, and by the time I had locked focus, I would have missed the moment, and that was not going to happen. So I decided to take photos only just so I could really focus on telling a story. And now I'm going to share the photos I got. Hopefully they help tell the story and show you what was going on, what I went through, and what I think are some really special moments of the day, of the event, what made it special for me. So let's get into it. The rally started near Grant Park, and then we all walked and ended in Federal Plaza. So at the very beginning of the march itself, here are some of the photos I took. So I wanted to get right where all the photographers were, in the very front of the march, of all the people, and there were about 3,000 people there. So I got in the front and I took this photo right here. And I just like this because there's this one girl in the center of the frame who's clearly the main subject of this photo. And she's holding the sign saying, "Don't make us the last generation." This is telling a story. There's nothing really creative or special about this photo. All it does is make you feel like you're there. You clearly can get the mood from this photo. That's what I was trying to do. So in my mind, this photo works well. Then moving on, I decided to get a little creative with one of the other edits. So as you can see right here, there was a photo and all of it is black and white except for one sign that is blue and green. Why? Obviously because the earth is blue and green. That's pretty straightforward, but it just draws your eyes. It makes that sign the clear focal point, the clear subject of your image. Then moving on, this is honestly one of my favorite photos that I took of the day. So there were these two little girls who basically started their own chant. So I quickly ran in front of them. There's this guy with a megaphone who's holding it out to them so they could start their chant. And pretty soon everyone was chanting what they had come up with. And it was really cool to see these two girls who were probably around 6 or 7 doing this. It was awesome just to see that. So this photo, I made everything black and white pretty much except for the two girls and their sign. I made everything a little bit more dark on the edges except for the girls again to make them the clear subject. Also because I was trying to play with a little bit of ideas like these girls are emitting a light from them. That's why I made the editing choices that I did for this photo. Then moving on, here's one that at first glance looks kind of confusing because you're not exactly sure what's going on in the photo. But if you look a little bit closer, you can see it's a photo of a window. And obviously windows in the city will reflect everything else that's going on. And there's this guy taking a photo of something. And you have to look a bit closer, specifically in the window itself and the reflection, to see that he's excited and taking a photo of the thousands of people passing him. So I like this because it is creative, and while you're trying to tell a story, you can do the kinds of things from before, which just plain and simply tell the story, or you can get a little bit more creative. That's what I like about this photo here. Now moving on, once we got to Federal Plaza, I didn't take as many photos, but I was still able to get some that I'm relatively happy with. The first one right here is just a guy holding his sign, and what I really like about this image is that the highlights are completely blown out, right? That should be awful. I mean, come on, highlights being completely blown out, that's usually not a good thing. In this case, I really like the look and effect that it gives this image. It just makes the guy in the photo seem to emit this glow, and the glow wraps around him and his sign. And the other thing I did to draw attention to him and the sign is make everything black and white except for his skin, his red hat, and his sign, which had a few red words and numbers in it. So that's why I like this photo. Pretty straightforward edit. I can actually show you how I did it if you are wondering how to edit something like this. But it was pretty straightforward. It tells the story. So he didn't even know I was taking this photo too, which is also pretty cool because he's just kind of looking off into the distance, but it works. And I'm really happy with the way this photo turned out as well. Here's a quick photo I took actually before the march even started. This is just of my two friends that I was with who are each walking down the street to get to the march. And I really like this compositionally because one of my friends, Tyler, is on one side of the yellow line of the road, and my other friend, Guaco, is on the other side of the yellow line. And then Guaco right there is just holding up his sign, a sign that we're going to talk a little bit about later. He's holding that sign up. Just a really cool image. They're clearly walking towards the march. The one thing about this I wish was a little bit different is that the people in the march were a little bit closer just so you could tell a bit more that they were going to the march, but still, I really like this image. I think it's compelling, and compositionally, I really like it. And finally, the last photo from the march that I took that I have a sentimental attachment to myself, but I would not submit to a newspaper or post on Instagram because it's an okay photo. It's not special. It's not great. This is the photo of the sign that was hoisted up by workers renovating a building across from the plaza. If you were at the march, you probably remember this sign because it was the one that everyone went absolutely crazy for. And this is because we actually signaled up to some construction workers who were renovating one of the buildings across from the plaza, and we pretty much just signaled up, and we weren't really thinking. We either meant, can you put the poster up, or can we go up with you? But they ended up bringing the poster up, and this one guy waved it around like crazy. The crowd went absolutely wild, and we were just standing there laughing and smiling because it was our sign. It was the coolest experience of the entire day. So that's why I have sentimental attachment to this particular image. So that's all the photos that I took during this march, at least all the ones I decided to show you. Of course, there were hundreds and hundreds of more, but that's besides the point. So those are the photos. I hope you found them compelling. If you did, and if you feel inspired by the things you saw in them, which I hope you did, I certainly was inspired, especially by those two girls who started their own chant, then comment below telling me what you think. Tell me if you went to the march, because it's super cool knowing who went. Even in my school, so many people went and I didn't see them once, simply because there were just so many people in general. So comment below what you thought about the photos. Were they compelling? Did they tell a story? I really hope so. Now, we were in the city. I was with my friends. I'm a photographer. One of my other friends is a photographer. So naturally, we went out, and on the walk home to the train, we took some photos. So here are some street photos that I took with my friend Tyler, just because why not? I mean, we got some pretty nice photos with the Canon Rebel T3i. So, Here you go. Wrapping this video up, there was actually one problem that I did have with my camera setup, and that was the autofocus. The autofocus on the T3i, for video, it's awful. It's not even really existent, but for photo, it's okay. In good lighting, it's pretty good. But I actually took a lot of photos of my friend Tyler that you just saw, a lot more than I just showed you, and like half of the photos I took of him were out of focus. Now, I don't know if that's because we were moving really quickly trying to get to the train station, just kind of rushing the photos, but a lot of them turned out of focus. And that was really disappointing because on the screen they looked great. All the photos looked like they would turn out really nicely, but that's how it goes sometimes. I think we still did get some nice photos. Compositionally, a lot of the photos I just showed you I think are really good, especially the one of him sitting on the rail, and the one with the sun flare kind of coming in from the top of the image. So we got some nice photos, and we were a part of an amazing experience that I'll never forget. So there you have it. That's the story of how me and two friends went into the city to participate in this march, and I took the photos that I've showed you today. If you liked this video, kind of liked the concept of it, going out, taking photos, and then coming back here in the studio, which I kind of like the sound of that, the studio. This is becoming the studio right here. All this right here, it's the studio. Anyway, but with that all being said and done, if you like this video, consider liking and subscribing. And if you want to stick around, hit that bell too, so you're notified every time I come out with a new video. And I'll see you in the next one.